Local programming on KRWG made possible in part by viewers like you. Thank you.
Welcome to Fronteras, Changing America. I'm Edmundo Resendez. Ashley Echavarria has been the Executive Director for Boys and Girls Club of Las Cruces since August of 2013. Having had a long history with Boys and Girls Clubs that spans some 18 years. Growing up in Carlsbad, New Mexico, Echavarria spent a lot of her free time at her local Boys and Girls Club, both as a club member and as a staff member. During her time at the Boys and Girls Club of Las Cruces, both membership and average daily attendance have grown more than 30%. Her number one priority is serving as many Las Cruces youth as possible, ensuring that they all have a positive path toward a great future. Ashley, welcome to Fronteras, Changing America. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Let's start the conversation with something that's very positive and intriguing to me, is your long history with the Boys and Girls Club. How did it begin for you?
Well, as many kids, I just thought it was a fun place to go hang out. And my mom was a single parent, and in Carlsbad, very uniquely there, they have a large sports program. And so that's really how I initially got introduced to the club, was through sports, playing basketball, cheerleading. And eventually I just got really involved whenever I was in high school. And it was in high school whenever I realized, wow, this place has really made a difference on my life. But it's also making a difference on all of the kids' lives who come here. And at that point, I made the decision that I wanted to work for the organization for the rest of my life. It really became my calling. And I decided one day I want to run my own club. I never thought it would happen so early in life, but it did.
So you started out as a kid going there as a youth, but you also volunteered as a youth advisor.
Yes, so I luckily, they hired, as soon as you're old enough to work, they would hire some club members. So I started working, and I worked just about every area, from the front desk to the game room, the library, and really, I was the one that was always in the executive director's office, wanting to know more and really wanting to learn the ins and outs of Boys and Girls Clubs. And honestly, I feel like ultimately, my executive director there, she's no longer with the organization, but she's really who inspired me to move on and continue up and make it a career path.
And I would imagine that your experience there gave you an opportunity to really develop your business skills, to see how the club works from top to bottom, not just as somebody that comes from the outside to the club and serves as executive director. You actually know the ins and outs.
Absolutely, just from the basics of programs and all the way to working with kids, and just having the skills to be outgoing and talk about the club. I was really fortunate to have been selected as one of the 5 national finalists for Boys and Girls Clubs of America's Youth of the Year program, which is a huge program, provided lots of scholarship money for me to go on and pursue my further education. But it also allowed me to travel and get to visit different clubs and get to speak at different events about the impact that Boys and Girls Clubs has on kids' lives. And ultimately, that is, I would say, the number one reason that led me on to being so successful in a career in Boys and Girls Clubs at such a young age.
The mission of the Boys and Girls Club is pretty simple, yet it's very direct, in that it is to enable all young people, especially those who need it most, to reach their full potential as productive, caring, responsible citizens. What challenges do you face in trying to fulfill that mission here in Las Cruces?
Well, as any nonprofit would tell you, we're constantly in a high demand for resources. So we do the very best that we can with as little as possible. But the challenges are pretty real for some of these kids. They're struggling. We have many that are from single parent households, many whose grandparents are raising them, many with mental health issues that come in and they really are looking for support and guidance. And you know, one of our biggest challenges right now is just honestly finding enough space to put these kids in, because there are so many kids that need us and we want to be able to serve as many of them as possible.
On a statewide level, we're looking at 71,532 children in New Mexico that have nowhere to go after school.
Yes.
And this is where the Boys and Girls Club of Las Cruces comes in. I mean, how many children do you serve?
Annually, last year in 2015, we did just under 500. And that includes our membership as well as community outreach that we do. And so on a daily basis, it fluctuates. We're doing about in the 70s after school right now. And then during the summer, those numbers shoot up. And we see anywhere from 80 to about 110. On a really heavy day, it's 115. And after that, I have to say, you know, we're pretty much maxed out. We run out of space.
I've seen your space.
Yes.
And it's a very distinguished building, code for old.
Yes.
And I mean, do you have enough room there to fit the amount of children that need the services that you offer?
Unfortunately, the amount of children that need our services, we don't have the room. The amount of children currently using our services, right now, we're okay. The challenge comes during the summer, when kids need a place to go all day. They're not in school, and that's whenever our building is really jam-packed. And you know, we're getting to a point to where we are busting at our seams, and we have to find ways to be creative. We do a lot of field trips and try to keep the kids out of building and fluctuating as much as possible. But it's certainly a challenge. And as far as, you know, our building design, it wasn't designed to be a Boys and Girls Club. It used to be a church. And so the challenge with that is, you know, some of the spaces are a lot smaller than we need them to be. So it makes our program planning a little difficult. So short answer is yes, we have enough space. Long answer is no, not really.
Well, when you need it most, which is during the summer.
Absolutely,
And I think that's really, you know, I'll give you my personal experience with the Boys and Girls Club of Las Cruces. My daughter got to spend a month there after a summer program where she got picked up, and she really had a good time, and she really seemed to enjoy it. Mm-hmm. And it's not a daycare service.
No.
By any stretch of the imagination. You have structure.
Absolutely. We like to call it structured chaos.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, a lot of people, it's unfortunate because so many people are unfamiliar with what it is we really do. But it's a lot more than just a place for the kids to go. It's a place where we actually care about where they're going to in the future. You know, what are they getting good grades? Do they have the right social skills? Do they have good manners? Is giving back to the community important to them? These are things that we want to instill in our members. And yes, it's much more than just a daycare. And normally what I tell people is, have you ever seen a daycare with a full computer lab and, you know, pool tables and Xboxes and a fully equipped music room? And most of the time the answer is no. So.
But that is part of what you offer.
Absolutely.
And the kids are able to really learn about computers and different things that's going to be important for them.
Absolutely.
As they go back to school. Let's look at the key points that the Boys and Girls Club of Las Cruces focuses on. One of them is academic success.
Yes.
33% of young people in Las Cruces fail to graduate from high school. What impact does the Boys and Girls Club of Las Cruces have with the children that are club members with this regard?
You know, our ultimate goal, number one, is to see our members graduate from high school. It's unfortunate because too often in programs like ours, we start to lose the kids around when they get to the latter part of middle school. And so, you know, what we do is, what I've been doing since I've been there, is really trying to encourage the kids keep coming back. And, you know, there are scholarship opportunities for college if you just keep coming and get involved in the programs. But, you know, on a daily basis, it's very much more structured than people would imagine. And that is, you know, homework is first and foremost. Kids come in, they get a healthy supper after school, but then and they get a little bit of free time. They got to release that energy.
Yes.
But then it's, you know, if they have homework, we sit with them. We have volunteers and staff who sit and work with them to make sure that homework is complete. That way, when parents pick them up, they don't have to worry about getting their homework done anymore. In addition to that, we have things like the Lions Crane reading program. It's a virtual reading program online. It's called Mind Play that these kids can do, and it's been proven to improve reading. In addition to that, most every component inside the club, we try to include some element of education in it so that there's always hidden learning in it one way or another. You know, everything from STEM to multiplication basketball, you name it, we play it. And it's really so that kids can learn and see that learning can be fun too. And really ultimately we want to encourage that they're going to graduate from high school.
You instill that in them.
Absolutely. It's not even a question, you know, and it's kind of funny because with their homework, it's not even a question. People would think that we have to fight kids to do their homework. No, our kids are like, when can we do our homework? They're ready to get it done.
Mm-hmm. So they can go on with other activities.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They
can get to the fun.
The second key point is good character and citizenship. 28% of high school youth in Doña Ana County were involved in a physical fight in the past year. What do you provide at the club to address this issue?
We have a number of programs, curriculum-based programs, and many people don't know that address similar issues like that. You know, a program called Smart Moves, which really teaches young people about the dangers of drug and alcohol abuse, but also about how to maintain healthy relationships with each other, with their peers, with adults. And you know, for the older kids, we even have it's a spin-off of that program called Date Smart to really teach how to be respectful. And so in addition to that, you know, we do a lot. We try to get our kids out in the community, giving back, whether it means helping out, doing park cleanups. They've done that. They've helped out at animal shelters, but really teaching them that it's important to give back to your community. And we feel that in doing that, their character and citizenship is going to be shaped. And hopefully, you know, they'll have this sense of enjoying giving back.
The third issue that you focus on is something that's, you know, widely discussed, and that's healthy lifestyles. Mm-hmm. You know, 33% of young people in Doña Ana County, ages 10 to 17, actually in New Mexico, are overweight or defined as obese. What programs do you offer to club members to address this issue?
We do a lot of being active. You know, we try not to force our kids to do anything, but we have creative ways around it. So, for example, our club members are only allowed one computer session so that they're not sitting at the computer the whole time and they're kind of forced into another area to be active and physically fit. So we, you know, do everything from your basic relay races and basketball games to things like actually growing a garden and teaching the kids how to cook with the vegetables and the produce that we grow. Everything from that to, again, we also, along with healthy lifestyles, we also instill the healthy relationship part of it. So instead of just looking at it on a nutrition and physical level, we look at it as the whole child, and their social and emotional well-being is just as important to us as the rest, because what you'll find is if one is not where it needs to be, neither is the other.
What is the youngest age that you accept at the Boys and Girls Club, and it goes through high school?
Yes, so we serve ages 6 to 18. We do allow, I say that carefully because we do allow 5-year-olds if they've gone to kindergarten. We want them, and normally we do 5-year-olds on a trial basis if the parents think that they're socialized enough to handle it. What we found is most 5-year-olds come in and they're so reserved, and within like a week or two they just flourish, and it's pretty amazing to watch them grow into the program and stuff. So yeah, a lot of people don't know also though that we serve all the way up to the age of 18, and we really wish that we could get some more teens into the building. For example, we've been doing teen nights every other Friday and calling all teens. They don't even have to be club members, just to get them in and give them a safe and fun place to be. And we really want to let teens know that we're also a place for them.
Is there a fee, a charge for the kids to be club members?
There is. We charge a $10 membership fee per semester, so it could be fall, winter, summer. There is also a weekly fee, but and that varies based on whether it's after school or during the summer. But the unique thing for us is we are very flexible on those fees. So while those fees do help us to ensure that we're operating correctly, if a family comes in and they cannot afford it, we work with many families to either reduce the rate or do away with the rate if we have to.
You're not getting rich off of the fees.
No, unfortunately we're not. But that's definitely not our goal. Our goal is to make sure that no kid is ever turned away for the inability to pay. And so I can tell you right now, about 60% of the kids who come throughout the course of the year end up receiving some type of a fee discount, a reduced rate, or a full scholarship, because we know those are the kids that need us the most, and that's who we want to serve.
Las Cruces is growing and has grown, over the last several years.
Mm-hmm.
And, there's one Boys and Girls Club in Las Cruces,
Mm-hmm.
and you have 12 adult staff, and you currently have 84 volunteers. Is that enough as you look down the road, as you talk to your board and as you talk to your volunteers, what are your plans to see the growth of Las Cruces continue for the Boys and Girls Club?
Well, it's one of those things that's been talked about for a very long time with our club. The thought of having a bigger building, a new facility, the need is there. And if we had the bigger facility, I'm sure that we could fill it. That is a long-term goal. In the meantime, what we're doing to make sure that we're staying up with the growth is really the outreach component and seeing how we can serve kids in other locations who may invite us in. And so, whether it's, partnering with the schools, we're working on some partnerships there to actually provide programs in the schools, but also, not even just looking at just our city, but looking at our county and looking at the needs of some of these outlying areas that really have nothing for kids. And, so I can say confidently that we will more than likely be looking at, in the fall, opening some type of a facility in Hatch. And it'll be a teen-focused facility for middle and high school kids, and that is going to be possible thanks to a partnership with the Hatch Valley School District. And so those are just some examples of us. We're really having to be creative on how we're going to serve more kids, even though we don't necessarily have the space. And we're going to get there. I feel confident that the community has been so good to us since I've been here, and they continue to show tremendous support. And I always say our kids deserve better, and we'll keep pushing along until we can give them the very best.
I've been to the communities of Hatch and Anthony, and I see the needs there, and there is a great need for children to have a program that they can go after school and really stay focused, because that's really, especially in the middle school years, where some of the children get lost in the big shuffle of bigger schools.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're really excited about it. It is growth, so of course there comes a little bit of apprehension with it. But the bottom line is, at the end of the day, my job is to look back at our mission. And, there's that one little line in there that says, those kids who need us most. And the ones in those outlying communities really are the ones who need us most. They don't have options out there. We're lucky in Las Cruces. There's a lot of organizations that work with kids and do a great job at it. And we're in it together. And a lot of us work together and collaborate together, because the bottom line is we can't serve them all on our own. But we want to make sure that we're doing our very best to serve as many as possible.
Let's talk financials. I mean, where is the club financially? I mean, how many fundraisers do you have a year? How do you go about bringing in money? Because I'm pretty sure you don't rely solely on club fees. You have to rely on other things. What do you do to stay financially stable?
Well, the thing about the club fees is it cost us about double what a regular paying parent would pay. And about 60% of those parents pay much less than what the regular fees are. And so, yes, we rely very heavily on support from the community. Of course, I write lots of grants, and we're always out there looking for grants. But we do have two major fundraisers each year. One is the Lou and Mary Henson Community Breakfast, which happens every year in April. That's our signature event, and we have been so grateful for the support of Coach Henson and his wife, Mary. They have been so great to us and in hosting that event for us and letting us put their name on it. And so that's our major event. And then we do a golf tournament in the fall, which is the Justin Harper Memorial Golf Tournament. It's in October every year. And this event has actually grown tremendously over the last year, thanks to the support of the Harper family. Justin Harper was the president of Citizens Bank, and he was one of our biggest fans, and he just had a huge heart for the Boys and Girls Club. And they allowed us to name our golf tournament in his honor. And because of that, the community has really showed up and grown that golf tournament. So those are our two major events. And then, of course, we're always doing smaller scale events to anything that we can to make sure that the money's coming in. And, you know, when we talk about the financial state, it's such a relief for me to go into a finance meeting and know that my board members are going to walk out with positive faces, because, you know, to be quite honest, there was a time when this club wasn't doing the best that they could be doing, and, you know, got into some really tough financial situations. And I'm happy to say we've completely pulled ourselves out of that, and things are just looking extremely positive for us.
Let's talk about your community breakfast. I've had the honor of attending it 3 years in a row now.
Mm-hmm.
And this year, Jackie Joyner-Kersee was the guest speaker.
Yes.
And there seems to be nationwide celebrities that have come up through the ranks of the Boys and Girls Club. And is there a story that stands out to you that inspires you to do your job and do your job well?
Oh, wow. Well, I have lots of stories, and, you know, to tell you that there's one would be a lie, but honestly, the stories that stand out to me the most are stories of the kids we serve today. You know, those, you know, celebrities are amazing, and it is really cool to hear Jackie Joyner-Kersee, who went to the Boys and Girls Club, Denzel Washington, and lots and lots of celebrities, well-known people that club kids have heard of. But I tell our club kids, it doesn't mean that you have to be an actor. You could be the best business person. You know, the CEO of Snapple and Dr. Pepper, he was a Boys and Girls Club kid. And so be anything you can be. So when I look at the stories, I like to look at stories like that of our current New Mexico State Youth of the Year. He's actually from our club in Las Cruces, and he won the honor this year. And, you know, stories where all odds were against him. You know, a single mother raising him. Dad is in and out of prison because he has a drug problem. And a mom who really struggles, you know, working multiple jobs to put food on the table and to make sure these kids have everything. And where you would think he would end up down that same negative path because all odds are against him, and statistics would say that he would not do well in life, he is on a totally different path. You know, he's going to Arrowhead Park, you know, on his way to graduating with a not only a high school diploma, but an associate's degree, you know. And, you know, he is an amazing, talented piano player, all of which he learned at the Boys and Girls Club. And he just has such a bright future ahead of him. And because of him winning this award, he walked out of just the state competition with $6,000 to go toward a college, you know, a college education. And when he goes on to compete at the regional level, we are told that every single candidate, whether they win or lose, will be walking out with anywhere from $15,000 to $30,000 additional dollars in scholarship money.
That's amazing.
Yes, and all because he kept going to the Boys and Girls Club, and he gets his homework done, and he's a respectful kid, he's a positive kid, a happy kid, and those are the greatest stories for me, because those are stories that I see every single day at our club.
Let's talk about your demographics at the club. What do, you know, we know the ages being 6 to 17 or 18. What do the children look like? I mean, they must come from everywhere in Las Cruces.
It's really interesting. We have kids from all walks of life. Because those who need us most aren't necessarily those who have families who are in financial need. Those who need us most may very well be the opposite. They may be a family who has 2 parents who work really hard and spend a lot of time at work, and so they need our services. So you have those kids, but then of course, we have a predominantly Hispanic population because of where we're located. We have English speaking, and then we have some kids who come in and they only speak Spanish, and eventually they speak English.
And I would imagine that you get to see them develop and actually get to see them fully understand the language and get to use it.
Absolutely, and it's amazing because those kids tend to come in and they're really shy. And they don't want to talk. And then before you know it, it's like, hey, you remember whenever you first started coming and you didn't talk so much? And now they do. And so we get to see them flourish. I would say about 60% of our kids are going to be from that elementary population. And then the other 35 will be about middle school, and then of course the number decreases to about 5% whenever we look at our high school kids. But I will tell you that our high school kids that go have been going to the club since they were 6, 7, 8 years old, and so they've really grown up, and we're always so happy when they keep coming.
And I would imagine that those are the kids that are very focused on post-high school, looking at college and taking advantage of the things that the club offers.
Absolutely, yes, it is. And we joke because they're driving now. Some of them drive themselves to the club, but they take advantage of the opportunities we provide.
Ashley, it's been a pleasure to have you, and I wish you the best of luck with the Boys and Girls Club of Las Cruces.
Thank you so much for having me.
For Fronteras and Changing America, I'm Edmundo Resendez. Thank you for joining us.